Hey, welcome back, everyone. Right now, your world is loud. Yes, there's the literal noise, the sirens, the radio traffic, the range, and even the joking around in the team space. But mostly, it's the noise of being needed. As veterans and first responders, when the outside world calls, it's usually a problem that only we can solve, which is why we're deployed as the problem solvers. And your ability to perform is your value to the person to your left and to your right. But when it comes to transitioning from these careers, there's the thing that nobody really talks about. I'm not referring to your resume or the out-processing paperwork or what you'll do next. That stuff, yeah, we talk about that. What I'm talking about is the silence. The thing is, you're currently operating in a world of high-definition signaling. Every day, you're essential. You're part of a tribe where your presence impacts the success of the mission. In these careers, we evolve to rely on that tribe for survival. And right now, you have the ultimate one. You have a shared purpose that's more significant than many people on the civilian side will ever fully understand. But there's a day coming, and it doesn't matter if it's in 6 months or 6 years. It's that day the signal just stops. And when it happens, you're going to feel a weight in your chest that you might not quite understand. You aren't going to be stressed in the way you are now. Your new role likely won't have the same impact as what you're doing right now. That pressure is going to come from the fact that you're going to feel invisible. Transition isn't just about hanging up the uniform. It's about moving from a world where you're a component of an essential machine to a world where you're just another employee. Likely in an environment where your peers won't truly understand what essential is. And the other thing that no one's going to warn you about is that peace that you're looking forward to can actually feel like an attack. That silence is going to sound like a DI yelling at you because it's actually your ego trying to remind you that it still wants to feel needed and operational. But before we dive into this further, we're going to take a quick break and acknowledge a sponsor of the podcast. As a first responder, control isn't optional. It's how you do your job. But when it comes to buying or refinancing a home, most lenders don't get your world. Police Mortgage does. They specialize in working with first responders, walking you through the process, breaking down your options, and helping you lock in competitive rates without the runaround. Take control of your financial future with people who have your back. Visit policemortgage.com or call 312-499-8878. Police Mortgage, for first responders who are second to none. Right now, you operate in a high-intensity and highly dependent environment. It's your oxygen. You're like a fish in water, but you don't notice the water until you're on the sand gasping for air. Every day, there's the low-level hum of knowing exactly where you fit in the system. You have a rank, a title, or an assignment. And those aren't just labels. They're anchors. They tell the world, and more importantly, they tell you that you're important. But here's the reality of what's coming. Civilian life will not demand from you in the same way. In the civilian world, if something goes sideways, maybe your boss gets frustrated, or maybe an item doesn't get shipped on time. But bottom line, nobody's losing their life. The world will just keep on spinning. That realization is what creates the silence. And for a lot of us, that silence can feel like the heaviest weight you'll ever have to carry. Think about the way you've been trained. You've been conditioned to respond to danger. You're a high-performance engine, sitting there idling, just waiting to be put in gear. But when you transition, you're still going to be idling at a high RPM, but there's no gear to shift into. You're likely going to feel like you're sitting at the staging area, burning fuel, yet going nowhere. And that's where the spiral can start. Then you might start looking for that noise that you're used to, probably in all the wrong places, because you don't know how to exist in the quiet. According to the research, the silence hits veterans and first responders so hard because we've spent years operating in groups where if you didn't do your job, the whole tribe suffers. Or worse, somebody ends up getting killed. You're a very important piece in that bigger puzzle. However, in the civilian world, it's the opposite. It's more about individualism and people looking out for themselves. When you leave this current tribe, you aren't just losing a job. You're losing the emotional grounding of being in an essential group. And you need to understand, there's going to be a disconnect where others will likely see your perception of the importance as trivial. Yes, in our world, things aren't trivial, but you won't be operating in this world anymore. You're going to be sitting in a meeting where people are arguing about the color of a PowerPoint slide or how a memo was worded. And you're going to be thinking to yourself, none of this matters. Why are we talking about it? Remember, that'll be the silence talking. And if you don't prepare for that drop off now, that feeling can get overwhelming. You might think that you're depressed. You're definitely going to think that civilians are weak or they're stupid. But you have to remind yourself, they aren't weak, nor are they stupid. They've just lived in a world that never forced them to be essential. As a veteran or first responder, if you carry that I'm better than them attitude into your transition, you'll build a wall around yourself that's going to make the silence even louder. The trick is learning how to read rooms, as well as people, while you're still operating in this world, but not from a threat perspective. You need to start practicing being the observer. Because right now, you're a doer. You're the hammer to the problem that's the nail. But in the civilian world, it's a much more complex and equally a more subtle machine. It requires a different kind of discipline. The discipline of internal validation. Think about it this way. In these careers, our validation is often external. You get awards, promotions, and the respect of your peers based on your actions that they can see. In the civilian world, scorecard is often invisible. You're going to have to be the one to tell yourself, you did a good job. You'll have to be the one to find the next mission. And if you wait for a civilian boss to lead you with the same sense of purpose that you're used to now, you'll probably want to brew a pot of coffee while you're waiting. But again, you can't hold it against them because they probably don't know how to do it. However, something you can consider doing is being a mentor and a teacher, if they're receptive. But bottom line, you'll have to stop seeing yourself as the leader and start seeing yourself as a person who possesses the skills of a leader. It sounds like a small distinction, but it's the difference between surviving the silence and drowning in it. If your identity is this job, then when this job is gone, you're gone. However, if your identity is the discipline, the work ethic, and the ability to solve problems, then you can take those things anywhere. You've spent years learning how to master your environment. You know how to read a situation. You know how to spot a threat, likely before it even happens. And right now, the biggest threat to your future isn't a bad job market or a resume that's lacking. It's the psychological shock of going from everything matters to does any of this matter? You've got to start building a new tribe today before you need it. It means finding people who are doing things that have importance. You need to find a new environment where you can still be essential, because there's a good chance it won't come from your next job. So today, find the discipline to lead yourself through the quietest part of your life. It's not going to be easy, but it's the only way you're going to meet your next objective. And you have to understand that your mission fails without this discipline. Now, you might be thinking, look, I'm a professional and I've handled high-stress situations, so a little quiet time isn't going to break me. But understand, that's also your ego talking. And in your transition, your ego is the primary threat to your survival. So if you don't start respecting the silence as the significant variable that it is, it can be the thing that takes you down. The most important thing to realize is that the very things that can make you capable right now can become your biggest liability when you step out of this world. If you don't intentionally change your internal frequency, you're going to be like a race car trying to drive through a school zone. And it's very possible you'll end up resenting the new life you worked so hard to get to. There's something else you need to be aware of. It's the invisible culture that you're going to move into. In the civilian world, influence doesn't come from bars or stripes. It comes from social capital, which is something that a lot of us have, but it's never been defined by a name. In essence, social capital is the value you earn through trust and what you do for other people. In these careers, we have the power of the position, which guides us or the people we're in charge of. But the funny thing is, yes, rank and seniority gives us our power. However, every one of us hates working for someone who leads with their rank first. And on the civilian side, if you try to use command presence, you aren't going to come across as a leader. You'll likely be seen as a jerk. So you need to learn to put that ego in check. If you can't come to accept the value of the civilian tribe on their terms, you'll find yourself isolated in your silence. Start closing the gap now. Take a look at the people that you interact with each day who aren't veterans or first responders. Watch how they communicate, how they solve problems, and how they handle conflict. Granted, you're going to see aspects that are going to seem like nothing that's comfortable for you. But that's the world you're going to move into. And if you go in thinking that you're going to fix them or you're going to square them away, just know you'll probably have already lost. Put it like this. The same way you don't like being put in check in this world, they won't want to be fixed by you in their world. They'll want to work with someone who understands them and their environment. We've all seen it. That coworker who's left. Maybe they had a job lined up. They acted like they had everything figured out. And then you run into them a little while later. They don't have that job anymore. They're working some generic job. And they complain about the dumbasses that they work with. You can't forget, as veterans and first responders, we're leaving our world and transitioning to their world. And we're not taking this one with us. You need to learn to identify the signals of the civilian world, such as, what does this new environment value? They won't value your ability to operate or to clear a corner. They'll value your ability to manage stress, your dedication, and your problem-solving skills. But you have to be able to make your skills visible in a way that they'll see them. If you can't talk with, not talk at or to the person across the desk from you, you're effectively invisible. Another variation of that silence that you might experience is the silence of when you're talking and nobody understands a word you're saying. Don't let your pride blind you to the reality of your future status. You're going to be the newbie again. It doesn't matter if you had metal on your collar or you were a slick sleeve. On day one, you're the rookie. If you can embrace that, if you can find the humility to be a student again, the silence can become a space for growth. Whereas if you fight it, the silence can become your prison. It's the ultimate ego check. You have to have the courage to be the one who doesn't know. You have to ask the questions that make you feel embarrassed. You have to admit that you don't know how your new civilian tribe works yet. But that vulnerability is actually your greatest strength. It's what allows you to build a new tribe. While you're still in this world, start looking for those civilian mentors. Ideally, find a veteran or first responder who's successfully moved across. Ask them how they handled the quiet. Ask them how they dealt with the feeling of not being essential anymore. Start planning and doing recon on your future life today. Every interaction you have with a civilian is a training opportunity. Remember, the mission of a successful transition isn't just getting a paycheck. It's keeping your soul intact while you move into a world that probably won't understand your past. And the mission fails without this discipline. You owe it to your family. You owe it to the people coming to their transitions behind you. And most importantly, you owe it to yourself to not let the silence win. On the other hand, no matter how close or far from your transition preparation you are, your objective is the same. Be prepared for the silence. And if you're looking for more ways to stay ahead of that, I put out a weekly newsletter with additional insight, resources, and things to help you improve your planning for your transition. If that's something you're interested in, there's a link in the show notes. Please go sign up. Let's take another quick break, and we'll come back. We'll get back into the wrap-up of this episode. When you look forward to that first cup of coffee, as soon as that morning alarm goes off, then Blue Line Roasting is the choice for you. They're a Tennessee-based law enforcement-owned company. They're roasting small batches of premium coffee, fresh, within 48 hours of your ordering, and ship fast so it doesn't sit around getting stale. From Patriot, their light roast, to Failure Drill, their dark roast. They've got something that fits whatever you prefer. Whole bean or ground, it's your call. But Blue Line Roasting is more than just good coffee. A portion of every purchase goes to support law enforcement families who are dealing with line of duty injury or loss. So your morning routine becomes something bigger. Great coffee and real impact. Grab a single bag, try a sampler, or set up a subscription so you're never caught without it. Shipping is always free. And for the listeners of this podcast, use the promo code TRANSITION10 to get 10% off your order. Head on over to bluelineroasting.com and make your morning count. Clock is ticking. Check your ego at the door and start preparing for probably the most important mission of your life. As a veteran or a first responder, when that final shift ends or the ink is drying on your DD-214, you're going to walk out that gate for the last time and you're going to notice something immediately. The world doesn't feel different to anyone else. But for you, the frequency of the world just shifted. You're going to be entering the silence. For your time in service, the noise will have dictated your life, your organization, as well as your peers. The noise shows you what to care about and what it means to be part of this tribe. The noise provides the purpose, along with the script of your career. In the quiet of the civilian life, you'll have more control of the pen. And here's the reality you need to lock in now while you're still wearing that uniform. The silence isn't a void. It's a canvas. The hardest part of leaving a tribe is the loss. It's the loss of feeling necessary. But you're going to have to find a new way to feel that. And it's likely not going to be handed to you. It's going to come from the small, disciplined actions you take every day when nobody is paying attention to you. And validation, it may only come from the reflection in the mirror. It's about being the neighbor who helps, the employee who works for the success of the company, without needing the affirmation of being in charge. It's also about being the person who's present with your family because you've likely taken the most from them while you were serving. So don't fear the quiet. Respect it. Prepare for it like you'd prepare for any other important operation. Study the AOR of your future life. Learn the language of the people that you're going to be serving with. And most importantly, realize that your value wasn't in uniform. It was in the person who made the uniform. Transitioning doesn't mean you're losing your identity. You're just getting the opportunity to see who you are without the noise of this world. The mission will change, but the standard remains. The objective isn't just survival. The objective is success. And you can't be successful if you're drowning in the silence. I appreciate you staying all the way till the end. It helps the engagement ratings. If you've been listening for a while, you noticed that I changed up the way I presented these episodes. I'm trying a new way of presenting the information that has a more universal format. As always, I'd like your comments. Tell me whether you like this and if it works for you, or if you prefer the group-specific tips format. I want these episodes to best benefit you. So let me know. Do you like it? If you don't like it, what you need me to change? Please share the podcast with anyone who you think will enjoy and benefit from it. And if you're not already, please follow wherever you're getting the episode. Stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.